Sit! Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast Injury Show. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey, Rich, how's it going, man?
It's good and good. We brought the Angel of Death with us as well. So we
totally jinxed everybody last week, didn't we?
Yeah, we kind of said that though. I mean, it's inevitable, right? Like people tearing their ACLs, or it seems like lately people that rupture Achilles. Like I don't remember in like a span of anybody ever tearing their Achilles like they do lately, but apparently that's a thing.
That's a thing now. I don't know if it's training. I don't know if it's field that they're playing on. I don't know what it is, but it does seem like Achilles tendons tears are like the new hot injury.
Yeah, it's abundant. The good news is it looks like people can come back from Achilles injuries. You know, whether teams want their players back after the injury, I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. We have no idea. Definitely when you're one of the worst graded players at your position, and anywhere. I mean, the stats go abundant of where you're bad. But we lost some players for the year this year, so let's dig in. The first one is one that I got to witness live and in person. It's some mixed feelings about it. But Deshaun Watson goes out, tears his right Achilles. It's already been confirmed. I mean, it takes 5 seconds to test for a torn Achilles. They knew right away. I mean, you can see on the replay. I was there at the stadium when he went down, and the team was kind of coming out. I was like, "Oh man, I think he probably I wonder if he just tore his ACL. Like he didn't even he went on contact." So my first thought is always ACL. I'm like, this guy can't. You know, thanks for the 19 games for $137 million, bum. Appreciate it.
Yeah, listen, I have been the most outspoken guy against Deshaun Watson. I still feel bad. Like this sucks for him personally. So I'm not going to poo-poo or like pile on, I guess, on Deshaun Watson. He's already going to have a tough road coming back. So let's just, I keep it to the play, I guess, for me. He was playing pretty poorly. This was actually probably his best game that I'd seen him play all year.
Yeah, of course it was. Just like the last game he played last year versus Baltimore. The second half was the best he played, and then he went out for the year. That's the way the cookie crumbles here in Cleveland. Yeah,
and watching it at home, they showed one replay, and there was no doubt about it that it was an Achilles. Mm-hmm. It was the very typical, popping basically, and seeing the whole reverberation through the calf muscle, all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty evident. I mean, obviously you want to see the tests and stuff before you make it official, but I think everyone at home kind of knew what that was pretty instantly.
Yeah, it really is like the easiest bad injury to detect, right? Like once you see the reverberation in the calf, it's 100% an Achilles rupture. Like every time. It's never been he had a leg spasm.
Yeah. He's okay. Every time I've ever seen that, it's been a ruptured Achilles. So that was pretty I think evident at the time that was kind of the injury that we were dealing with. And then obviously the pregame stuff, which I had sent out some eyeball emojis about, was Dorian Thompson-Robinson was the guy that was going to be number 2 that week over Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston was the emergency guy in week 7 for the Browns. So I don't know what's happening, behind the scenes or in practice, that Dorian Thompson-Robinson was the guy. I don't know if they just didn't like the play of Deshaun Watson up to this point, which I would imagine has been pretty disappointing for everyone. So maybe they wanted to get a look at the young guy in some game action because they, Jameis Winston, they know what he looks like. They kind of brought him in on a couple of 4th down and short type of situations, but they haven't really had him throw the ball up until week 7. So that was the kind of thing that I guess caught my eye. And what did you see, Rich, while you were there at the game?
Yeah, they were told, I guess Dorian Thompson-Robinson was told to be ready, more ready. I don't know how that's possible when you're a professional athlete, but be more ready. And I think it's what you have in Jameis, right? Like he's no long-term answer for any team. And unfortunately the Cleveland Browns they're capital F, right? Like this is why you don't give fully guaranteed contracts in the NFL, because if anything goes sideways at all, and then gosh forbid 2 years left into the deal, like at like a massive cap rate, like you are beyond effed, right? Like, so you'd have to see what you have in Dorian Thompson-Robinson just to see if you can kind of stay afloat, because the only savior there is a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal to get you through. Like, it's literally the only thing that could possibly save you. I mean, could you find a Sam Darnold on a 1 year deal and he comes in and executes your offense? Could you get Joe Flacco to come in and execute your offense for cheap? Probably,
but no,
still
like the perfect one would have been like, and I hate to say it because I know you hate him, but like a Russell Wilson, somebody that has already been discarded that you can pay the league minimum and get proficient quarterback play out of for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. That's the only thing. That is like the only, I guess, safety net from a, hey, maybe we can keep this thing afloat and kind of keep some of the veterans happy on the team. Because I don't see a way out for the Browns, which is unfortunate the way this situation is. If he's obviously not going to be ready anytime this season, probably not for the start of next season. Who knows? It depends on which surgery he goes with. He is supposedly contemplating, Deshaun Watson's contemplating the speed bridge surgery, which what Aaron Rodgers had. But he's also,
and Cousins.
No, Cousins had the traditional one.
Oh, he did. Okay.
And Rodgers had the
one looks
speed
better
bridge
than the other.
Yeah. So we'll see. I don't know, man. This is going to be tough. I mean, they're honestly, Deshaun Watson from a play standpoint.
You call him Deshaun Watson. Yeah.
Did I call him Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson.
I mean, some people call him Deshaun. You call him Deshaun Watson. Some people are out here calling him Deshaun Weinstein. Whatever you want to call him.
Jesus. Either way, he's washed up, is what I was trying to say, which is probably why I got that all squished in my brain. So they're screwed either way. So this is going to be a tough kind of thing for the Browns to dig themselves out of. And on top of that, Dorian Thompson-Robinson wasn't even able to finish the game because he had a finger injury. It sounds like those X-rays are negative. They're trying to figure out, he's going to get an MRI to follow. It doesn't sound like it's serious. So there's going to be at least there's a little bit up in the air as to who's going to be starting week 8. But I would think Dorian Thompson-Robinson is the guy that they want to get a longer extended look at right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're scouring available quarterbacks too to get somebody else on this team. So just keep an eye out for that as well.
Well, I like to lose because I'd rather just end up with the number 1 pick and get like a guy like Cam Ward if we can. Or honestly, you could trade back at open draft picks and try and tank again and take Archman, and if he's going to be that good. I don't know, man. I'm in a really weird state when it comes to Cleveland Browns football. A true diehard. I've had season tickets forever. I never miss a step. I left a game early yesterday. First time I think I've ever left a game where there's like 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter in my entire life of going. And it's I don't know, man. It's a situation where like the Browns for a very long time were like the laughing stock of the league, and Baker comes out, gives us a little bit of hope, and obviously we know how that all turned out. And we bring in Purvey McGurvey, and we had a very small window of like, oh man, the Browns have such a great roster, they're going to be good, and it just all goes back to the worst case possible scenario. Worst trade of all time, NFL wise, when it comes up to contracts and draft capital given up, it's definitely going to go down as the worst trade of all time. I wouldn't expect anything less out of, I'm a big guy when it comes to fantasy football. Like, I really like to look at like the history of things and, statistics that way. All history, all statistics would say that this is how this would all work out. Because that's the story of my football life. So good for me. With Deshaun, I mean, I don't know really where you're going to look for the positives. Yeah, Nick Chubb come back. He played 36% of the snaps. He scored that touchdown, but besides that, he only averaged 2 yards per carry. He did have a catch for a first down. Then came out of the game, so in a pitch count. And, Jameis Winston came in for that small, brief period, probably got the best quarterback play we've seen in a Browns uniform so far this year, so that could help. But, I mean, David Njoku obviously skyrockets here, right? Like, he's the number 1 receiver at the Amari Cooper trade. It showed this past Sunday, him and Brock Bowers were the clear-cut 1-2 tight ends. And I expect David Njoku, if you're a contender, to kind of still be that number 1. Judy didn't even get a look in the game when Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Jameis Winston came in, actually looked at him 4 times. What did Judy do? He did what Judy does. He dropped 2 balls. He's very unreliable. Good route runner, good speed. Guy can't catch.
He cannot catch. He's not made for this game. He was great in college. I had questions about his ability to catch in traffic at the college level, and it's just gotten worse in the NFL. Cedric Tillman, 12 targets here with Dorian Thompson-Robinson. I think if DTR is the guy, we're going to see a boom out of Cedric Tillman, who basically was the lost guy in this offense for the first 6 weeks of the season, and really came to life here. It was Njoku with 14 targets and Cedric Tillman with 12. So listen, Tillman and DTR they're friends from when they were kids, basically. So he's looking for him. They have a connection, and it took one play to see that. It was the very first play when DTR took over. He threw it to Tillman in the end zone. So, I think good things to come for Tillman, who has been promising but kind of just disappeared this year. So
he's got to get his hands together and learn how to run the right routes.
No doubt, but he's a young guy that I would at least if I'm the Browns, that's what I'm looking for. Hey, this season is gone. What can we do? What can we do to better our future? And getting a guy like Cedric Tillman involved, I think, is one of those things. Jerry Jeudy slamming his helmet on the ground and pouting, dude. Find somewhere else to do that. I don't know if you noticed, we just lost our starting quarterback, and now we're working on a backup. You're going to start throwing your helmet on the sideline and pouting like a little baby. Beat it, dude. Like, get out of here. I don't have time.
Another bad contract.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Another bad trade. Another bad trade by this front office. Listen, if you can't find wide receivers, at least trade for good ones. I mean, Amari Cooper was a good trade. He kind of fell off. His first pass in Buffalo bounced off his chest. Okay, I know he caught a touchdown, but another guy that's having some issues catching the ball this season, Amari Cooper, and Jerry Jeudy, give me a break. That was a terrible trade. Sean Payton there is laughing his ass off in Denver at the front office here for even giving him anything for that guy. So this team's a nightmare.
Yeah, he holds no value. There's really no value outside of Njoku and then the upside of Cedric Tillman. It's funny, when we were driving down to the game, I told my son, he's like, no Amari Cooper. Maybe Jerry Jeudy's our number 1 now. He should have a good game. And I literally looked at my son. I was like, no, I don't think so, man. I was like, the number 1 guy who's probably going to be the most targeted, who's going to be our number 1 receiver going forward, is going to be David Njoku. And I was like, I told him, I was like, I wouldn't really be surprised if Cedric Tillman kind of slides into our number 1 role there, because they're going to want to, now that we're out of it, they're going to have to see what we have in this kid and kind of force his way onto it. I was like, Judy's hand sucks. Literally the conversation we had. That's with thinking Deshaun Watson was a quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking to make a move and you're looking for some of that garbage time production, Cedric Tillman's probably a pretty good trade target. And then obviously not even a Superflex premium. If there's a path to get David Njoku, he's definitely worth a first-round pick. Still only 28 years old. Still going to, the number 1 target in this offense for the foreseeable future. This is going to be a team that's going to be hamstrung by the cap. So it's not like they're going to go out there and sign anybody. Anybody they bring in will have to be through the draft. And David Njoku is going to be that veteran, athletic, experienced player to give you the targets. Nick Chubb, I don't know what's to come of Nick Chubb. I'm not gonna knock him for playing 36% of the snaps on the first day back after a devastating knee injury and average 2 yards per carry. But the offensive line's bad too. So honestly, it's David Njoku and it's Cedric Tillman, and after that, you can flush the rest down the toilet. It's straight hot garbage.
No doubt.
I'm going to be committed to watching this straight hot garbage for years to come, because there's no. This is a complete blow up loss of a team. Like it's terrible.
Agreed. Agreed. Because so the guys that are amazing, the Myles Garrett, they're just not even going to be around when all this stuff clears. They're not going to be, or if they are around, they're not going to be the same players. So you know what I mean? Like they need to redo the entire offensive line, because by the Batonio is a good piece, Teller's a good piece, but all these guys are getting older. Their tackles stink. Their centers, real old. Yeah, their tackle's no good. So it's really going to have to be a ground up sort of rebuild for the Browns. So unfortunately, I like the coach there. I think he does a good job. I think this Deshaun Watson thing is kind of submarined the entire operation from
the whole organization. One trade, one move. I think that, and what sucks is that was really driven by the owner who wanted to go out there and get Deshaun Watson when he had the chance. Again, I'm sorry, man. It just really brings me down.
No, let's move on, man.
Sports so much, and you have your own home team, and I'm sure everybody out there listening, if you have a team, you just want your team to be successful. That's where all the joy comes from, is the success, and to be just, at 45 years old, and almost outside of being when I was a young kid in Bernie years, like your team just being like not even good, like abysmally bad. It sucks like to be so quickly that small window from beating Pittsburgh with Baker in the playoffs, and even last year, the Joe Flacco emergence, just to have those few short years of hope, literally got my legs swept, and it's right back into the pit of misery. Wouldn't be surprised if the Browns had the first overall pick. I think they'd be competing with New England, Carolina there for that first overall pick. The good thing is New England already has a quarterback. Carolina, who knows if they would take one? I don't know if they would or not. So it does put the Browns in position to draft the best quarterback. Cam Ward from Miami looks pretty good, but we'll see. Because they still got to pay Deshaun Watson.
I would expect Carolina has seen enough as well. So I would think they have to be looking for an upgrade, just the same as that.
God, so sad. Sad Rich is full.
So speaking of moving on to a different quarterback, let's move on to another quarterback injury. Jayden Daniels went down in this game with a rib injury. Again, listen, very explosive player. Love him from a talent standpoint. Takes big hits. This is what he does, right? And this is something he's going to have to learn to do better, is to protect himself so he doesn't take big shots. Listen, the test came back. He does not have any fractured ribs, which is great news. I think that was kind of the sentiment even during the game. He came back out in street clothes and was giving a thumbs up, smiling and everything. So I had a feeling
he was high-fiving people.
Yeah,
which is good. His mom tweeted out right afterwards like he's good. So yeah, right. They were up by a lot. So
perfect. Yeah,
they're like, exactly sit down, son.
Yeah, and Mariota came in and he did well. He 18 of 23, 205 yards and 2 touchdowns. So the good news is if Daniels misses any time, I think Mariota is a seasoned enough quarterback and looks good in this system, the Cliff Kingsbury system. That guys like Terry McLaurin, who had 6 targets, 6 catches for 98 yards. Zach Ertz was involved, 5 targets, 4 catches, 40 yards, and a touchdown. Even Ben Sinnott finally got in the end zone as well. So I think there's
first catch.
Right. I think there's enough where the guys that you're relying on, who is really mainly Ertz and McLaurin in this offense, will still be fine. And obviously Brian Robinson did his thing as well. 12 attempts, 71 yards and a touchdown. Eckler was just okay. I think he had a 4-point game. So he fell off a little bit from weeks past. But other than that, I think this is fine. Even if he misses a game, it's not a big deal.
Sorry, I'm swinging around my microphone here.
No, that's okay. Just swing it around.
All right. Next on the list.
Next on the list is Aidan O'Connell. He went down. Obviously, he basically just got this starting job from Minshew. Goes down and he high-fived a guy while he was throwing a pass. Always bad, right? when you're throwing a pass and you kind of hit something, it sounds like that's going to be a broken thumb. I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but it sounds like
I think they already put him on IR.
Okay, I knew it was a 4 to 6 week timetable, and the IR was likely. I hadn't seen that come through though yet. So obviously Gardner Minshew comes back in. Listen, it's this team's a hot mess as well. I don't know.
Shadur Sanders will be the quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders in 2025. So
they're definitely
there's nothing to talk about there. This goes right in. Nothing to talk here. We talked about it when Devontae got traded. The Brock Bowers show. It already shows. We're looking at probably when it's all said and done, they're probably going to be the greatest tight end to ever play. The game
14 targets for Bowers, just for reference, 10 receptions, 93 yards.
Yeah, he's a receiver. He lines up as a receiver. Even they don't even play it like he's a tight end. Like he lines up as a receiver, and he's really good at what he does. And if you go back a couple of years to all that Kyle Pitts hype and what the cost was, like that's what you have to pay for Brock Bowers. And I think he's worth every penny. of what you pay. A clear overpay that'd be happy. Like if you're going to overpay for a player, right? This is the kind of player you overpay for. Like drastically. Josh Allen a couple of years ago. I put like almost not even like neighbors in that category quite yet. But like it's hard like to find those players that are, because it's got to be a perfect window, right? They got to be young and they have to have like years of availability too. Like an overpay, I'm talking like 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. On top of a guy like Dalton Kincaid, what would you have to give? Two firsts? Kincaid and a couple firsts, Kincaid and a first and a second or something?
I mean, honestly, for me personally, like I know this would work in a regular community, but the way I play Dynasty, like draft picks aren't cutting it for Brock Bowers. Like I want Jamar Chase. You know, if I have Dalton Kincaid, you know, something like that. But even then, like I still want Bowers over that. But like if you come pro, like what do you want? Like I want Jamar Chase. Like I want Justin Jefferson. I want Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, and even then, like, dude, Brock Bowers is 21. Like he's done nothing his entire life but dominate. Like dominate. And he's off to the best start a tight end's ever had in history of National Football League. Like he's almost untradeable. And no matter where I have him in my dynasty rankings, it's not high enough. I would take him in the first round of a startup pretty easily. Even in a super flex, I think there's only a couple quarterbacks I'd really take. Maybe not a couple, but like maybe 5, 6 quarterbacks. Tight end premium, still maybe 5. Matt, for me, he's most likely. I don't have him ranked there, which is silly if I believe that way. He should be the first positional player outside the quarterback off the board. Like he's giving you
non-quarterback off the board. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, because he's giving you wide receiver 1 numbers at the tight end position. Like if you play in a start 3 receiver, start 1 tight end, traditional leagues, 2 running backs, like he's a cheat code. Kind of like, I mean, literally go back to like what Travis Kelce was doing for 7 years straight, right? Like Travis Kelce was a cheat code, putting up over 100 points more than the second guy.
You're basically getting to play a wide receiver 1 when everyone else is forced to play like a wide receiver 4 in a spot.
Yes.
That's what it, from a point standpoint, that's kind of what you're getting from a tight end like Bowers compared to most of the other tight ends out there.
Yeah. It's a situation where you have a guy who's going to give you wide receiver 1 numbers at tight end and nobody else can do it. And you can't replace that. There's no other guys out there. And if you had Travis Kelce, like if you in redraft leagues, if you had Travis Kelce, the odds of you like winning were probably 50%. Like if you drafted like, okay, cause he was that much of a cheat code. Like if you look at winning roster, for the most part, like in those prime years, they had Travis Kelce on it. Kind of like when you go back years past, like how Peyton Manning in his more traditional sense was kind of like a cheat code. Like, there's certain players like Prime LT was a cheat code. Like those single-handedly bring you to playoffs. It's that much of an edge. So yeah, I think 3 first-round picks is the starting point. On top of Dalton Kincaid, I would want to say 2 first, because now they call Dalton Kincaid's like lighting the world on fire. He's just like an okay tight end right now.
That's what I was asking, but he's probably 2nd, 3rd, 4th at the worst in most people's dynasty rankings for tight end. So I was just curious. How much
I'd start if I had Sam Laporta, which I do in my rosters. And again, I don't think this is going to get done. I honestly, Matt, I don't know how anybody in their right mind would even trade away Brock Bowers. Like it's such a bad move in Dynasty. Like outside of like a clear overpay, like, dude, here's Breece Hall, you know, and like something else. Like there's not a single running back you could offer me for Brock Bowers right now. You can't offer me Bijan. You can't offer me Breece Hall. You can't offer me Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, I'm sorry, because like I can replace that position. Maybe not like to that level, but I could, you know, you could put Kareem Hunt out there, right? Like you get Kareem Hunt for like nothing. And you could get, you're not getting Breece Hall numbers, but you're getting pretty close at this point for how many touchdowns he's going to score. Like you can't replace Breece Hall. He's an unreplaceable player. Like I'm sorry, Brock Bowers. Nobody else is in his position. Yeah, you don't have Josh Allen. Well, you can get Jayden Daniels, right? You can go out there. Shoot, Drake May looked pretty damn good this week. Like, there's other guys that are going to give you comparable numbers. There's nobody that's giving you Brock Bowers. So, like, if I had Sam Laporta, who was the consensus number 1 dynasty tight end going this in, or Trey McBride, I would love to be able to flip any of those guys plus a first for like Brock Bowers. Like, for those people that love draft capital, like, hey, dude, I'm getting Trey McBride and Sam Laporta plus for a first. Like, oh yeah, dude, it's close. In reality, like that's what you're hoping for, right? Like, oh, I'm getting another young tight end it's just a tight end and a first. Like, this is close. In reality, it's not. Like, it's not. And it goes down to, like, we talk about when it comes to trades, Matt, like, you should go out there and make offers. Like, it's okay to get rejected. I think I would encourage everybody in your league to go and try just to make a competitive offer, like, for Brock Bowers, that you're going to get denied, but at least to say you tried. Like, he's going to be in that category now, and we all know how much I love tight ends. Like, I will always try to get him on my roster. I'll be told no 1,000 times, but for the one time it will work out, I'll be happy.
I'll be happy.
And I think it really comes up to, like, do you have the balls to offer Jamar Chase for Brock Bowers? Do you have the balls to offer Breece Hall for Brock Bowers? Right, like, that takes gutso. That takes a little bit of bravery there to go out there and make an offer like that. Like, these primetime players that people do not have Brock Bowers ranked that high in the dynasty rankings. But you're talking about, again, a player that cannot be replaced, cannot be supplanted, and he's going to be there for the next 9 years on your roster. So, like, even if you gave up 3 first-round picks and that was the overpay, you'll still have 6 more first-round picks to go before he's even, like, considered even to fall off at that point, because then he'll only be 30, which we know that's not an
nowadays
end
no
zone.
Big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know this was an Aidan O'Connell take, but I had to get that in just in case. I have no idea what's on tomorrow's show sheet. Like, he's so special that it just has to be said. Like, you're doing your dynasty team a disservice if you don't try.
I mean, I totally agree. But let's not beat this dead horse. We're in here pretty deep. We got some more injuries to cover. So let's get on to the next one. Tyler Huntley went down. Unfortunate. This is a right shoulder, which is his throwing shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Tim Boyle came in, kind of finished up that game. Did okay. I mean, did just as well / poorly as Tyler Huntley did.
It's honestly irrelevant, Matt. Tua's coming back next week. He's going to practice on Wednesday. It was determined before this game he was coming back on Wednesday to practice. So thank goodness, because this helps. I mean, Jalen Waddle, abysmal. Tyreek Hill, abysmal. Devon Achane, not great. Okay. Not great.
Okay. You just cracked double digits in PPR, 10 and a half points.
So this is all fantastic news for us. Let's just hope Tua could keep his head on and secure. I mean, he really should be wearing one of those funny looking Guardian caps. Like, I don't know why he wouldn't.
He might be. And Tua, completely to your point, is the straw that stirs the drink there in Miami. So with him coming back, the only thing you have to really take note of here is that Tim Boyle is probably his backup, with maybe Skylar Thompson, and something's wrong with Tyler Huntley, which would probably relegate him to them cutting him or something. You know what I mean? Putting him on IR, or whatever. So no big deal. Better things to come in the Miami offense in the future.
All right.
Let's move on to the running back position. David Montgomery went down with a knee injury during the game. Was able to return, but he didn't really look quite as effective as he was before the injury, and even lost a fumble in the fourth quarter. So just something to keep an eye on this week to see what's happening. Obviously, the backup there that came in was Craig Reynolds, and then they have the Sione Vaki. Vaki, however you say that name, who might get some run as well if Montgomery were to miss any time.
Right.
Another running back with, just kind of a precautionary mention here. Tony Pollard was evaluated for concussion, but cleared concussion protocol. The only reason I wanted to mention him is obviously because Tajay Spears has got a hamstring injury. So really, if Tony Pollard misses any time, it's going to be Julius Chestnut, because he's the only running back that's on the roster right now. I would expect them to pick somebody up if there's an injury, and possibly just either way pick somebody up if Tajay Spears isn't able to get over that hamstring injury for next week. But just something to keep an eye on in case those symptoms show up late. Sometimes that happens with concussions. Moving on to the wide receiver position, here's a serious one for you. Brandon Aiyuk, likely torn ACL here. The injury there looked pretty bad if you saw that one. Got hit basically the side of his knee, and his knee bent really the wrong way. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I hate those tackles, dude. I hate when defenders do that, when they throw themselves sideways into a player. And I don't know if he's intentionally going low, but you're going to end up. And I hate it so much because like if you hit anything with a little lips, you're likely ending somebody's season. Like it's just a bad thing to do. It's the same thing that Minka Fitzpatrick did to Nick Chubb, threw himself into his knee. We see it again here. His knee completely been the wrong way. The team already announced they're scared. They said it was probably an ACL tear. It's over with for him for the year.
No doubt about it. And to your point, I guess, or speaking to what you were talking about there, the game is going so fast, man. Dudes are just trying to get guys on the ground. No one's out there trying to hurt people, man.
Oh, yeah. No. I I'm not saying he intentionally hurt it. It's just like I hate when I see that. Like that people just throws themselves out there like to go make a tackle instead of like trying to wrap up somebody up. Like I'm definitely not saying like he did it on purpose whatsoever. I hate when I see that. I hate when dudes do that. Like just a person. I understand how fast the game moves. I see it, and you got to make a tackle, otherwise you could lose your job if you miss that tackle. So I get that too. It sucks, man. Aiyuk has not lived up to expectations. He's actually had some drops. Had another drop even that game. That was a nice catch there.
Should have been.
That kind of sucks for him.
Should have
been a nice catch.
He's looked bad. His stats aren't horrible for the year, but he hasn't looked right all year. And obviously, this is likely to end his season. The good news is they spent a first round pick on Ricky Pearsall. He was able to return this week. So it's at least there's some sort of backup plan there as far as him. Jacob Cowing might get a little bit of extra work as well. They're a hot mess, man. I mean, Deebo Samuel missed. He basically played 3 snaps of this past game, had an illness and wasn't able to play. That was kind of a late addition to the injury report, like right before the game itself. There was a couple of those this week. There was Deebo, and I can't remember who else was also left because of illness. It might have been a defender, but so going forward, it's good for George Kittle. I'd say any sort of target share that can be shifted his way, I think is great news. And Christian McCaffrey is ramping things up, so I would expect in the next few weeks him to get some sort of game action and get back to this thing. And then it's kind of wheels up for this offense. Hopefully, it seems like they've been kind of stuck in first gear basically the entire season because when somebody came back, something else happened, and maybe in the next few weeks they're going to get everyone kind of back and have this thing rolling because they didn't look great against the Chiefs, which the Chiefs have a good game plan against them. They play tough, the most man defense that basically San Francisco is going to see all year, and it really seems they have the personnel to be able to do it and pull it off. So it's
messes with Brock Purdy a little bit. And you mentioned Ricky Pearsall back, which is nice. He actually got a little bit involved there, so he'll be the number 2. Because remember, Jawan Jennings got that hips injury too. He was out this week as well, so he's banged up as well. Jacob Cowan came in. Did Cowan score that touchdown, or just had that big catch down the sideline? I can't recall. I know he had a big time play. I just can't remember if it was for a touchdown or not, or if it was just like a big play.
Let me check. I had a thing open and then I accidentally closed it. He did not have a touchdown. He had 2 receptions for 50 yards.
Okay. And then, you mentioned George Kittle, Deebo Samuel. This is fantastic news if you own them because these guys eat at an extremely high level if somebody misses. And George Kittle, I mentioned Brock Bowers, tight end 1. He's not tight end 1. It's George Kittle's tight end 1. Actually, Brock Bowers is averaging 13.8 points per game. George Kittle is averaging 17.3. Which is gross. Out of the last 5 games, George Kittle scored over 20 points in 3 out of 5 games. The other game, he had 14 points and 8 points. So he's on his way to the B tight end 1. But him missing a game, Brock Bowers is only 4 points behind him, and he's a clear number 1. So there's a very good chance that Brock Bowers could catch George Kittle. But I think it's really it's a 2-man race at this point for tight end 1 overall. It's gonna be George Kittle, Brock Bowers. We'll probably have 2 tight ends finish at a pretty high level this year. So George Kittle there, and you said Ricky Pearsall could slide in there, but he's still a rookie, very savvy route runner. We'll see what Kyle Shanahan slide up for him. Aiyuk, are you buying Aiyuk? Are you trying to buy a dip on Aiyuk? Because I would imagine there's a chance that Deebo's not on this team next year, right? Like after they just paid him, they got to extend Brock Purdy. I would think they would trade Deebo Samuel. There's already some rumors going out for the trade deadline. Deebo Samuel and Diana Rossini, who's pretty locked in. Had Deebo Samuel on that list of 5 players. And I was like, oh, wow, Deebo.
That was before the injury, I would
Before the injury, obviously. Right. So he's not going anywhere now.
Yep.
But there's always been these rumors of Deebo leaving, and they're going to have to bring back Purdy's, and them paying Brandon Aiyuk tells you like, hey ho, somebody has got to go. It's a reason they took Ricky Pearsall in the first round for a reason. Like they knew they were going to have to like get rid of somebody here, whether it be Aiyuk or Deebo. And so after paying Aiyuk, it tells me it's Deebo. So if there's a window to get out from Deebo, possibly if you're not contending, like even Kittle, if you're not contending, there's going to be a big window to probably capitalize the most you've been able to capitalize on Kittle in a long time here when it comes to trades. But it's going to be those two going forward. I'm really interested to see what Ricky Pearsall is. Maybe a nice buy at this point if you want to kind of get ahead of it in case it does take off, or the price you pay today. Maybe you're a contender and we know the receiving class isn't as deep next year and you want a receiver and you kind of want to get ahead of that and see what maybe somebody can help you now and in the future. I think Ricky Pearsall would fall into a good buy from that category.
And Aiyuk might not be a bad guy to go, and if you're, say, in a rebuild and you have an older guy, maybe offer that to the contender that just lost Aiyuk, get Aiyuk on your roster. Because, listen, this was a bad year, but he's not a bad player. I think he will bounce back from this and have better days kind of to come, especially once he can have like a normal offseason. So we'll see. Let's hope this ACL gets kind of wrapped up and he can get back in time for camp and all this. It seems like this is kind of right around that time where if everything goes perfect, he'll be able to like participate in off-season stuff for the 49ers next year.
And listen, it sounds bad saying it, but with injuries come great opportunity in Dynasty. It really does. Like you have to capitalize on it. I know it sucks, but these guys are getting the best medical attention possible. They're paid millions upon millions of dollars, and they'll come back. Like they'll be back. It's a setback, and you have to capitalize on those setbacks, whether it be in Dynasty. These are the windows you're looking for in season. Like it's not just the breakouts, and so it's injuries that open these windows for you to capitalize, for you to be able to trade guys like Kareem Hunt that literally held no value whatsoever a couple months ago. So when nobody wants to buy Amari Cooper, and you have Amari Cooper on your roster, and somebody has Aiyuk and it just go down, could you flip Amari Cooper? The fact that he just scored a touchdown there in Buffalo, which helps the cause, right? Be number one. Hey man, I'm going to finish with like the first or second overall pick. I'll give you Amari Cooper and my second round pick for Brandon Aiyuk. You know what I mean? Like, again, find those like zero asset players on your roster. Even a guy like Terry McLaurin's a little bit older. Like here's Terry McLaurin straight up for Brandon Aiyuk possibly, or throwing those second round picks in to get a player like that. Like you have to capitalize on it. Those teams and their contenders are in need, and most likely they're not going to want to give up, right? Just because of one player. So they're looking to buy. A lot of them are looking to buy for cheap. So maybe they don't want to get rid of Aiyuk, but maybe you can sell them an Amari Cooper and hey, I'll give you a future second and you give me your first, right? Just you get rid of those zero assets off your roster just for an opportunity to have a higher pick or any kind of pick that you possibly get. I wouldn't want a late second for something like that. Like I'd just rather do better. I would want to move up in a draft, but maybe like Ricky Pearsall is a buy. Maybe there's another young receiver out there that's not producing. Maybe there's a tight end. Maybe it's a buy low window somewhere else. Maybe Isaiah Pacheco's available, something along those lines. But there are windows of opportunity created by injury, and this Aiyuk should certainly create one of those windows.
No doubt. All right, so moving on to the next wide receiver, DK Metcalf went down, wasn't able to finish the game, got carted to the locker room with a knee injury. But it sounds like no big deal. This one doesn't seem like it's going to be that bad, so there's optimism that he kind of avoided a major injury there. Obviously, this is another West Coast team, so the injury stuff kind of trickles our way a little bit later in the day on Monday, so I haven't heard an update on this one. But DK Metcalf,
the fact that he looked in pain when they touched the MCL and they were touching and like he looked like he was in pain, I would think he would miss. I know he didn't tear anything, but I would think he'd probably miss this week.
I would. I mean, anytime you get carted in a locker room, that seems a little bit serious. The fact that they said he didn't, he avoided major stuff doesn't mean he avoided everything. So you know what I mean? Like it still could be something. We don't obviously know. So, we're gonna have to wait and see and kind of go from there. But it's another thing to monitor, I guess.
JSN, Noah Fant, Tyler Lockett, the people at best. It's nice to see Kenneth Walker being involved a little bit more. in that role. I mean, he looks really, really good out there. So, Geno Smith just kept on trucking. Even after Geno went down, you said it's a team that set itself up pretty nicely from a receiving core, bringing back Noah Fant, bringing back Tyler Lockett. Geno should be fine. And like I said, DK should only be out for probably a game at most.
Right. No big deal. So moving on, JuJu Smith-Schuster, he's lost to a hamstring injury here. They just keep dropping like flies here for the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, the guys that are left behind him are Sky Moore, Mecole Hardman.
Hardman scored. They utilized Hardman pretty well. They used him on the end around. He scored a touchdown. I mean, Hardman got involved there when JuJu went down. It was pretty surprised his name kept popping up.
I agree. Yeah, like he's never really impressed much, and who knows? He's just thrown into some spot duty. And kind of produce. We'll see if that kind of continues or if he falls off again. Obviously, good things should be in the works for Travis Kelce. Kareem Hunt also looked good usable this week.
He looks good, dude. He looks good.
Yeah,
like he's bouncing like the old Kareem Hunt. He's got some pop to him. Like he looks good. Not gonna lie. I'm watching him run. I'm like, look at him.
I know 2 more rushing touchdowns for Kareem Hunt and 20.
And that second one was money,
points.
dude. Like he fought for it. Like that was all Kareem. A lot of other running backs aren't scoring there. Kareem Hunt scores there with his jumps, man. He's a little bopper and he got in. I was really impressed with that second touchdown.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So moving on.
And Matt, rumor before we move on, a lot of rumors are circulating that the Chiefs are in the market for a receiver to trade for. So if they do, that would probably be the death of JuJu, who's, I mean, honestly, he's always kind of dead to me. He's just like one of those zombie hands that pop up, or like occasionally, those spirit Halloweens pop up and you might step on one of those pads and something jumps out to scare you. That's JuJu. Like, boo, here, I'm still here. I'm like, oh man, scared me a little bit. I know you're not real, but you're not a real
startled
fantasy
me
player.
with that performance. Oh my God.
Yeah. I know you're not a real fantasy player, but you sure startled me there. Kind of shocked me a little bit. So, we have a last guy to talk about, or
we have two guys that kind of we could mention or not. But Curtis Samuel injured his shoulder in the world of who cares.
Amari's there. Sorry, Curtis.
Yeah, he's 4th or 5th at best. I didn't even put it back up as a reference here because I don't think there's anyone behind him.
He's the backup.
Yeah, and then Jalen Polk, who obviously the Patriots went out and spent a 2nd-round draft pick on. Has got a head injury, something to monitor kind of as the week goes on. Doesn't matter. He stinks and keeps dropping balls all over the place.
Best hands in the league. Then came out and drops a couple balls. He literally said this weekend the best hands in the league. And he dropped footballs. I was like, you bum. Get out of here.
He's been dropping footballs, I mean, literally all year. So, whatever. Kendrick Bourne and maybe even Javon Baker, the 4th-round draft pick, will get a call up this week if Jalen Polk misses time.
Bourne got involved this week. He scored. I think he had like 8 points, something along those lines. I can't remember, but I mean, he was involved. I mean, just what I'd imagine from this what I saw from the game, like he was out there actually producing. So maybe Baker.
Bourne only had 1 reception for 14 yards. Hasty had a touchdown.
That's what it was.
KJ Osborne had a touchdown.
That's what it was. It was KJ Osborne who I was thinking about got involved. But hey, man, Drake May looks good. So far, a couple games in, he looks like he could be the real deal. So it's that's the only positive I can say about New England.
Hunter and his resurrection of Hunter Henry. I think both those guys are guys you can consider putting in your lineup. Anyone after that is really hit or miss. And
May was like a top 3, top 4 fantasy scorer this week in fantasy football, which is kind of nuts. So
you said Hunter Henry was
Drake May. Sorry, I have no idea what's going on.
Okay.
The sadness of the Browns still clouding my brain down here. So it's a little longer of injury show. I had to get my Browns woes out there. Woe is me. I'm not looking for pity. I'm just here to let you guys know how I feel because it does make me feel bad.
Rich, guys, leave comments for Rich. He needs to pick me up. Both of us, our Guardians went down in the playoffs, and then the Browns did regular stuff. So we're sad. That
was my damn Thursday. I went to the Indians game last minute Thursday. It was the greatest baseball game I've ever been to in my entire life. You were there. Garrett was there.
By the way, I was there. Garrett was there. You were there. You and Garrett somehow ended up in the same section. I was down below. And I had no voice Thursday night or Friday because I was yelling so much. It was the best game I've ever been to in my life.
Yep. And then I had tickets. I took my son to Friday's game. So I went to Friday's game. That we lost that at the end. So that was kind of a bummer. I'm like, oh, that's sad. And then Saturday I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. So that was pretty sweet. That was actually way more fun than I thought it would be. The artist I went to go see, Dave Matthews Band, was like not even the best performer by any means. He's just like a medley of songs, which I didn't really approve of. But listen, I'm not Dave Matthews. He can do whatever he wants. He's a Hall of Famer. But everything else, like, I mean, Kool and the Gang crushed. I mean, absolutely crushed. They were so pleasant to see, even though there was only 2 original members. But, Cher, all that was really good. And then I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. I was like, that's fun. But I watched the Indians game on my phone. I watched the 9th inning while, like, I don't know, somebody super famous was up there talking, and I didn't care. I was just sitting there in the audience on my phone watching the Indians, and they lost. So that was that. And then I go watch the Browns game, walking out there and knew how bad it was. And I get to see Nick Chubb come back, but then we see our starting quarterback get booed come out of the tunnel, and then he tears his Achilles. So, like, overall, like, it started with a real high on Thursday, and I was like, this is going to be the greatest, like, busy 4-day weekend I've ever had. And boy, was I wrong. So,
Thursday was the peak, and it was all downhill from there.
It was worth it. But, at least when you lose like that, like for like the Indians, like this year, like, it was a great year. Like, I had a great season. I was very proud of the boys. Yes, we didn't make it a World Series, but damn, did we come close. And boy, am I proud of that team. And boy, is there a bright future. Like, I can get behind that. Like, those guys, there's no sadness there.
Those guys battled, and dude, the Yankees bats are just so good.
It must be fun being rich.
Must be fun having 3 guys that would be hitting in the cleanup spot in most normal batting places. Most teams.
So gross.
I know. He bats second. And then
I hope Shohei wins, I guess. I don't know. I don't even care. I'm probably not going to watch the World Series, if I'm being honest.
Oh, no, I can't. It hurts too much to watch.
I don't like those kind of teams.
After my team has been eliminated, I completely check out.
So
baseball's over. It's dead to me until spring. See you, baseball.
Yeah, me too. So we'll be back We'll be back tomorrow with a full show. I'll probably be a little happier then. I'm gonna go pressure wash some stuff. That usually, I don't know why I like pressure washing stuff. I have no idea why, but like, I enjoy it.
Don't do it in flip flops again, please.
Yeah, when I when I cut the top of my sandal off.
Yeah.
or when I mistakenly in my old house when I wrote like Go Cavs and LBJ in the pressure washer, not realizing it. When I wrote it, like, to wipe away the dirt, I had it too close to the concrete and actually engraved my concrete. So every time it rained going forward, you saw it said Go Cavs.
Go Cavs.
Yeah. But I learned that was like 15 years ago. God damn, that might be like 15 years ago. But I've learned. And I've become a better pressure washer since. And now it's like one of those small things I kind of enjoy. I'm like, oh, this is nice. So I'm gonna go do that and kind of turn my frown upside down. Maybe I'll like go eat an edible and pressure wash or something. I don't know. Like, I gotta find manufactured happiness in my life.
Go do whatever you gotta do, man. Enjoy.
Thank you. All
right, dude. I'll see you tomorrow. Adios.
I'm so sad.